Hello, Capricorn. Welcome to Cancer season. You might know that Cancer is your opposite sign. And so, whenever we're thinking about the sign Cancer, we are definitely also thinking about you. Your opposite sign reflects on the polarity axis, and you might think about the yin yang symbol, how right at the center of each polarity or each oppositional energy, the heart of the other is there. So, Cancer and Capricorn are two parts of a whole. Capricorn often describes the boundary or the container of something, while Cancer energy might be the soft interior or the inner body. In Cancer season, there's a lot of energy moving through the part of your chart that has to do with significant relationships. This can definitely include life partners, spouses, and romantic others, but it also includes business partners. It includes close friends. Sometimes it can include parents or authority figures, and it can also signify your general experience in the world as a relational person. This season is asking you to up-level your relational and emotional skills. There are opportunities for you to have important conversations about the nature of your relationships, about needs, about resources, and about communication itself. Over the course of the first half of Cancer season, pretty much from the solstice on June 20th until the first couple days of July and the Cancer new moon on July 5th, you are invited to really dive into the emotional terrain of your relationships. This is not always easy for Capricorn to do. Capricorn, as an energy, often prefers to hold a container rather than get soggy and fluid inside the container. But right now, we need you to soften up a little bit. It is a great time for you to allow yourself to be messy and imperfect. It's a great time for you to experiment with vulnerability and disclosure. There are important lessons a lot of you are learning right now about communication. And I would say that one of the most important lessons has to do with what I'm going to call attunement. When you communicate, there is about 70% of your communication that's happening in a non linguistic space. So, your vibe, your gestures, your body posture and body language, what's happening with your eyes and face, and how you're feeling internally all get transmitted, sometimes more potently than the words that you're actually using. When you're listening to someone, you are also communicating. If you are distracted, if you're frustrated, if you have an opinion about something someone just said and you feel a quick readiness to respond, this is actually something that somebody else can feel. They might not notice it consciously in their minds, but on a bodily level and an energetic level, they're going to be able to pick it up. Over the course of 2024 and into 2025, you are learning to work skillfully with your vibe. You're learning to work in different ways with your attunement, with your presence, and with your energy. A lot of this looks like taking time to actually check in and feel your feelings as you're engaged in some kind of discourse or interaction. The capacity to be in multiple places at once, to be in your inner experience and also in your relational experience, attending to the communication that someone is giving you or expressing, while you also attend to your inner body and your inner needs and not get distracted, is a skill that all of us need to build. And Capricorn, this is a period of time in which a lot of you are doing some pretty amazing and I would say often challenging work of building that skill. But Cancer season is a time for you to really feel how far you've come. A lot of you have been doing some pretty heavy lifting and labor over the course of the last year or so, trying to skill build in these ways. You may have encountered frustrations and learning curves when it comes to your communication. That includes your perception, your cognition, and how you're receiving information, as well as the ways that you're communicating and expressing outwardly. As I mentioned in the elemental introduction, there are 2 full moons in Cancer season, and that means that they are both in Capricorn. If you are a Capricorn with placements at the very early degrees or very late degrees of Capricorn, these full moons are definitely calling for you to pay attention. And regardless of your placements, these are full moons in your sign, so you'll definitely be feeling them. The full moon on the 21st the full moon on June 21st and July 21st, exactly 1 month apart, are both working with the outer planets. These are full moons that bring a lot of collective activation into our general kind of atmospheric realm. And in your chart, they are highlighting long-term processes of growth and transformation. These processes of growth and transformation have everything to do with what I was just talking about when it comes to your communication. But now we want to spread the timeline out from the last year to the last 10 to 15 years. If you think back to 15 years ago, around 2008, some of you might remember this is when Pluto came into your sign, or if you think back to about 2011 when Neptune entered Pisces. These are important markers and beginnings of processes that I'm going to say worked you inside and out. These are processes that really brought you to task for your relationships and for your communication. They made you question your assumptions and your perception. They asked you to look deeper at your expectations for relationships in general, and they asked you to do the intense, often I'm going to say kind of gnarly inner work of transforming your, not just your communication, but your relational style almost entirely. At this point, you are pretty much done with these lessons. These have been important and almost like total life processes of transformation. And I think that a lot of you can feel that you are turning the page, especially again when it comes to relationships and communication. However, over the course of 2024, from now through the end of the year, there are some last little final tests. It's kind of like the universe is making sure that you got the message and that you understood the lessons. These are times for you to feel the integration of everything that you have learned, experienced, and put into practice so far. I want to encourage you to really practice a lot of self-care and tenderness towards yourself over the course of Cancer season and for the rest of your life. Caring for ourselves and being tender to ourselves is sometimes not instinctual in cultures that value punishment and austerity and productivity, but actually caring for ourselves and being tender with ourselves, especially with the parts of us that feel emotionally fragile or fairly young, helps us to show up in the world in ways that are a lot more integrated, responsible, and coherent. So please take the time right now and over the course of the next several months to really give yourself a lot of space and care when emotions are surfacing for you. If you feel anxiety, if you feel fear, if you feel awkwardness, if you feel vulnerable, these are times to slow down, to take some deep breaths. There might be places on your body where it feels supportive and reassuring just to hold your hands. Sometimes I even hold my own hands if I need a little bit of a boost of support. I also think it's really nice to bring my hand to my own back. It can be pretty subtle, you know. Offering yourself a little bit of supportive self-touch doesn't need to be a big display. Nobody even needs to know that that's what you're doing. If you breathe into that touch and encourage your body to receive it, that will allow your nervous system a couple of moments of regulation and remind you that you have you. This then takes a lot of tension out of your countenance and potentially takes strain out of your relationships. Towards the end of Cancer season, we are going to experience an acceleration of certain kinds of energy in the general atmosphere. This acceleration is bringing in a lot of information all at once. We're already living in a time when the amount of information flowing through media channels is totally overwhelming for, I would guess, most people. The information that is coming in is also coming in bits and pieces. It's pretty hard to get a complete picture of something these days unless you do your own research. And that's one of the things that I definitely want to encourage you to be doing right now, Capricorn, when it comes to any area of your life, but especially areas of life that would have you moving towards some kind of labor or responsibility or would influence your day to day. I think a lot of you are trying to reshape your day to day right now. This could look like reshaping and restructuring your jobs, rethinking how you're laboring, including how you're taking care of your body, your tasks, and your responsibilities. I think a lot of you are also really feeling the need and desire to be of service in some larger kind of way. And you might be thinking about where the best opportunities to give your gifts are. From the end of July until the beginning of September, there is a lot of support for you to do this work of restructuring and making moves in your day to day that increase your vitality and sense of personal power. This is also a time that can make you a little bit more prone to distraction and also to anxiety. And so this is why I want to encourage you to be pretty discerning about how you're working with information. If you get a piece of information and you notice that it brings your level of anxiety up, take some time just to process the information, to be, again, with the parts of yourself that might feel anxious, awkward, vulnerable, scared, etc. Breathe. Your breath is your ally. Your breath and your thoughts are intrinsically linked. When you bring attention to your breath, when you consciously slow it down, when you appreciate the sensation of your breath as it flows in and flows out, you will slow your thoughts down, you will regulate your nervous system, and give yourself support for a little bit more calm. I also want to encourage you to take the time that you need with information that you might be producing through your own research, particularly when it comes to the options of what you could do. So, this idea of you're restructuring your day to day, you are reworking your work or something like that. A lot of you have a lot of ideas, and you're going to have even more ideas from the end of July until the beginning of September. Not every idea is a good idea. You might think it's a good idea in the moment, but give it some time. It is super important, as I mentioned before, that you do not continue in the same patterns as you have in the past. As a person who is representative of cardinal Earth, Capricorn as an energy, a lot of you are oriented towards outcomes. There is such incredible fortitude and strength in the sign Capricorn, and y'all know how to get a job done. But over this last 10 to 15 year cycle, many of you have been learning essential lessons about the ways that you might miss important information in a process because you're so focused on the outcome or the goal, or you have ideas about what ambition and success should look like, but you're not really tuning into how something feels and whether or not it's going to be sustainable for you, and definitely whether or not it's going to be joyful. Capricorn, you're ready for a new kind of experience in this realm of your life. So please, as all of these ideas start to come in, as you get excited about this step or that step or this thing or that thing, take your time. Contemplate whether these new directions are truly new directions or just new iterations of the things that you've already done before, particularly in the ways that you may have missed the journey for the destination. Right now, your emphasis is on attunement and presence. That means you need to be present on the journey, not hyper focused on the destination. It also means that relationships take on increased importance because you don't want to be relating with people in goal oriented productivity ways that are more objectifying, where you're kind of feeling like people are, stepping stones to getting somewhere, or you're using them or they're using you for these outcomes or goals that people are wanting. No, you want relationships that actually feed and nourish your soul, where they aren't totally focused on achievement, where they're not about objectifying each other or using each other for some kind of ambition or goals. You want relationships that really satisfy and nourish your inner body and inner spirit. And this is a season to give time and space to make sure that you are restructuring and reshaping in ways that will do just this. Capricorn, I'm wishing you all the best in Cancer season and beyond. Bye for now.